There comes a time when every movie studio looks at itself in the mirror and asks, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, is this really what we are after all?" It seems Disney has looked deep into that mirror and asked that question, and the answer has been an unequivocal, "Yep." We finally received an official trailer of Rachel Ziegler's Snow White, and it's a movie. Let's discuss. The trailer, unlike a lot of trailers we see, looks like an actual abridged version of the movie. After watching the trailer, I felt like I could tell you exactly what's going to happen in this movie. I'm not sure if that's a compliment to Disney or an insult, but it's definitely something. So what happens in the trailer? It starts out just as you would expect from a modern-day remake of Snow White. We see some early interaction between Snow White and the evil queen, which we don't see in the original animated film. This is general fare at this point with these remakes: extended backstory, fleshed out relationships, and added context. At this point in her career, I don't think anyone would accuse Gal Gadot of being a world-class actor. Her limitations are widely known at this point. See Zack Snyder's decision to give all the Amazonians Israeli accents rather than get Gadot to adopt a more mainstream accent. With all that said, I have liked the brief glimpses we've been given of her in this role. She seems like she's really enjoying being a villain. She comes off as menacing and intimidating. This really comes across as a character that is pure evil and relishes that she is pure evil. This is the perfect note to strike for the evil queen. In the original cartoon, we see a scene that encompasses this perfectly when the evil queen is marching through her hidden lair and dungeon. She walks past a skeleton in a prison cell, which is reaching through the bars of the door toward a water pitcher, telling us that this person died while stretching for water. It wasn't sufficient enough to imprison this person. The queen wanted him to suffer. Further, when she walks past the skeleton, she jokes about how thirsty the prisoner must have been and cackles. This is a woman who loves being evil, and our brief glimpse of her character in the remake seems to be in line with this. Rachel Ziegler is fine. There really isn't anything special about her performance from the trailer. I'll reserve final judgment from the actual film. We see her interaction with her stepmother with the added context between their conflict. In the original cartoon, Snow White was the ire of the evil queen based upon only her beauty, but this film has added some extra points of contention, mainly the way the queen rules her subjects. We'll touch on that more in a moment. The evil queen has her disagreement with Snow White and then goes to her magic mirror only to learn that her beauty is second only to one. From there, we slip into the obligatory "we have to do this" section because it's part of the original movie part. The queen reveals the box in which she wants Snow White's heart. Then we see the huntsman warning Snow White of the queen's duplicity, and Snow White runs into the forest. We don't see the frightening images in the forest, but we do see her at her low point in the center of a large clearing. There, she is greeted by some happy woodland creatures, which lead her to a small cabin in the woods. She enters the cabin and falls asleep on their beds, following the general beats of the animated film. From there, the trailer shifts to night, and we see the arrival of the dwarves and their discovery of Snow White in their beds. They run away scared, thinking she's a ghost, but then determine she's a human. Then we slip into a montage of Snow White and the dwarves dancing around the house to "Whistle While You Work," which we saw in the teaser earlier this year. We hear one of the dwarves tell her she'll be safe with them. Then the trailer slips into the modern retelling stage. Snow White declares that the evil queen stole the kingdom from the people and that she needs the dwarves' help to get it back. She marches into the kingdom to face down the queen and lead a revolution, just like Walt Disney himself envisioned it. We get a CGI-laden montage of a mine-car shenanigans, Snow White dancing with woodland creatures and standing up to the queen. The trailer ends with the evil queen disguised as the old hag, offering her an apple. So I have a few thoughts on this trailer and the movie it represents. As I said earlier, Gal Gadot looks like she's having fun, which is good. Rachel Ziegler, while being an absolutely insufferable person by any objective measure, seems serviceable in the role, at least based on what's seen in the trailer. There aren't any other characters of note in the trailer. We see the huntsman and the not love interest that could be cut from the movie at any point, because that's Hollywood, baby, but they don't get much to do in the trailer. The dwarves look even more dead-eyed and nightmare-inducing than they were in the teaser. We really get some long looks at their faces and see them talking, which reminds us just how dumb the decision was to not cast actual actors in these roles. It also really stretches the term live-action remake, when a third of your cast is CGI along with all the animals and most of the sets. This looks to be another in a long line of films made by people who have somehow lost the meaning of filmmaking. This looks like just get something on film and clean up all the details in post, the movie. The brief glimpses we get of the mines look just as ridiculous and nonsensical as many films like it, with what looks to be a long CGI sequence where physically impossible things will happen that will boggle the human mind. The crux of the trailer hinges upon a confrontation between Snow White and the Queen over control of the kingdom. This is really where the modern remake part of the movie shows through. If you recall some of Rachel Ziegler's comments from last year about how the movie would be changed from its dated premise, we now see that none of that was taken out during the reshoots. Snow White is going to be a girl boss that leads a revolution to overthrow the Queen. The song near the end of the trailer is about her becoming the person she's meant to be, echoing Ziegler's comments about Snow White's father raising her to be a leader. This is a major problem because it clashes with the core themes of the source material. Snow White is a story about inner beauty and chivalry. Snow White is physically attractive, yes, but it is her kind spirit that the dwarves find so attractive, engendering loyalty and gaining their protection. She offers them her service as a housekeeper in exchange for a place to stay, showing her ingenuity and willingness to work for resources, and they agree to watch over her. The evil queen, who is also beautiful on the outside, ranking only behind Snow White herself, is ugly on the inside, and in order to kill Snow White, she turns her outward appearance to match her inward self and eventually dies because of her own self-conceit. Snow White is not about being a good leader or fomenting revolution. Snow White is on a political figure trying to take back her father's kingdom. This is still more of the same modern sensibility shoved into a classic tale, perverting the story into something unrecognizable. This is Belle teaching young girls to read and being criticized by the village, or Ariel saving herself at the end of the movie, or Wendy's happy thought being her growing up to be an independent woman with no children and dying alone with her 18 cats. They decided to update the story for modern audiences and ended up betraying the core element of the story. I also think that they're going to try to do a take on the double meaning of the word fair. Ziegler has mentioned in the past that this movie's take on fair will be about being brave and true, essentially about being equitable. But there's a scene in the trailer where the Queen says that looking at Snow White makes her want to be the fairest of them all. I think the movie will do a switcheroo on the Queen where she will ask the mirror who the prettiest in the land is, and the mirror will tell her who the nicest person is. And that will lead to the central conflict of the movie. We'll see if this is correct and if it will work with audiences. I can't imagine this movie is going to do well. It has so much going against it due to Disney's struggles and the multiple reshoots, meaning that the movie's going to have to make $1 billion just to break even. And that's not even taking into account any of Ziegler's ill-timed comments about her disdain for the original movie or her arrogant attitude towards the audience. It will be interesting to see if the final box office take is for this movie. So what do you think? Will you see it? How do you think it will perform? What's your favorite classic Disney film? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching.